Hi there, and a very warm welcome to Season 3, Episode 17 of People Soup. It's Ross McIntosh here. This is the first part of our Pea Super festive special. It's my interview with Louise Gardner. You may also know Louise as your ACT Auntie, artist and illustrator. Let's go over to Louise right now for an insight. In this clip, Louise was talking about the impact of ACT in her own life and how she seeks to share the message that our stories can box us in and limit us.
I genuinely, it's so genuine because I do feel so passionate about it. Like I said, when I did the talks at the anxiety group, I just feel so many people, and they label themselves as I'm an anxious person, I'm going to have anxiety for it's like they really box themselves in with this thing of, rather than just, I'm a human being and these feelings are normal.
Listen on as we talk about the time Louise discovered ACT and the impact that's had on her own life. We also talk about the evolution of her illustration work in relation to ACT that she so generously shares. Many people around the world have appreciated the simplicity, accessibility and beauty of her work. People Soup is a community of people who are interested in behavioural science at work and how we can make it accessible, fun and useful for ourselves and each other. At work, behavioural science has the capacity to enhance our well-being, help us be the person we want to be more often, and provide us with perspectives to enable cooperation, collaboration and innovation. It was psychologist Abraham Maslow who said, "A first-rate soup is more creative than a second-rate painting." And that was the inspiration for this podcast. More than ever, the world of work is a heady mix of people, behaviour, events and challenges. When the blend is right, it can be first-rate. Behavioural science and psychology has a lot to offer in terms of recipes, ingredients, seasonings, spices and utensils. So welcome to People Soup. In news, wow! What a lead up to the end of the year. We've had a bumper crop of interviews. We started with the brilliant Suzanne Tarrant talking about the green health agenda and connecting with nature for our own psychological well-being. We then moved on to the fabulous Becky Quick, menopause psychologist. Becky supports women experience anxiety associated with their perimenopause and the menopause, and her insight and energy were phenomenal. And now, here, we have the wonderful Louise Gardner, and next week there's one more. After which, I'll probably need a bit of a lie down. I'd like to thank all of our guests from all the seasons for stepping into the world of podcasting. In recent episodes, I've noticed my own anxiety, working with a new platform where the editing was quite a challenge in contrast to my level of skill. I persevered to move forward and publish, even though at times my mind was yelling that the edit and the sound is not perfect. My skills are developing at the speed they are developing in this adventure into the world of podcasting. If you do enjoy the podcast, I'd love it if you would subscribe, rate and review it. Whatever platform you're on, it helps us reach more people with stuff that could be useful. For now, get a brew on and have a listen to my conversation with the fabulous Louise Gardner, ACT Auntie. Hey, Pea Supers, I am virtually here. I wish I was there, but I am virtually here with Louise Gardner, also known as ACT Auntie. Louise, ACT Auntie, welcome to People Soup.
Hi Ross, thank you very much for inviting me on your show.
I'm delighted you were willing to join us, so thank you very much. Now, you'll probably be used to the format. I just want to start, Louise, with a summary of what my research department have gleaned about you. You just absorb this and see what you think. They may not have got everything right. First of all, they've noticed that you hang out with some right groovy people, and these include Dandelion, some pirates who are apparently from Mars, big bears, prairie dogs, yetis, mermaids, and seals.
That's right, yes.
Blimey, so that's all true, is it?
It is true, yes.
Crikey. Sometimes you have been seen wearing bunny ears. And
definitely true.
And making reference to carrots as well.
I am guilty.
Crikey. And I have personally witnessed this, you wearing bunny ears whilst cutting shapes on the dance floor.
Yes. And I think you may have borrowed said ears while you were cutting shapes.
I'm just hoping, against hope.
There's no photographic evidence.
Yeah, I suspect if anyone's listening who was there, they might unfortunately provide that.
I think I may have video evidence.
Oh dear. All right, we can talk about terms for non-release of that off mic. What I noticed, Louise, about you is I met you for the first time in Dublin.
Yeah.
Although we'd been buddies on Twitter for a while before that.
We had, yeah.
And there was this, I'm waving my arms around, Peace Supers, I'm not sure why, but there was this instant connection and warmth from you. And this is really something quite beautiful. I'd like to thank you for that you bring that to human interaction.
Well, right back at you, I feel completely the same.
And I'd also like to acknowledge your value of generosity. We're going to get into your art in a bit more detail, but you share so much of it in the ACT world and for the ACT practitioners and those interested with such generosity. I'd like to just do a big woo for that. I'm not going to shout a proper woo because it'll probably go off the mic scale, but thank you.
Thank you.
And another value I've spotted is courage.
Oh, I hope a tiny bit.
Yes. And why have I spotted this? I think the best example is hearing that you went on an expedition recently and you cycled your bike.
I did, Margaret.
Your bike, Margaret, to the station, managed the perils of trying to lock up your bike when there were no bike racks, and then travelled to meet our friend Mary, who took you open water swimming.
That's right. Yes, that was definitely committed action.
Blimey. Tell me a bit more about that. That was like, was it the sea? Was it a lake? Was it?
Yeah, it's a marine pool. So it is sea water that comes in and then just stays in this pool. So I think it was -4 degrees when we did it. So Mary is amazing. She's swum the channel. So she's so inspirational anyway. And yeah, I thought we were meeting for coffee. And she said, I thought we could go swimming in the sea. It was like, what? Everything in my body and my literally straight away was like, no, thank you. She was like, oh, you'll love it. And I just thought, you know what? If I did that, I'd be so chuffed with myself. That would be a real achievement to do that, because I'm actually not a very, very good swimmer. I'm scared of deep water. Don't like the cold. Everything about it was like resistance. And I thought, you know what? And I'd been reading an ACT thing that week about willingness being a switch that's either on or off. There's no in between. And I just thought, you know what? Maybe I should just do it.
Yeah.
And so I did. And yeah, it was very, very cold, but but it was an amazing experience, and that sense of accomplishment of actually achieving something afterwards, it was a real buzz until Mary said, the next 10 minutes after you've got out of the most dangerous, is like, what?
Oh, blimey. Well, thank you for giving us such a beautiful example of willingness there and values-led action. I love it.
I think each of those little things, because I think it was that thing, as Mary was saying, like once you've done that, when you do something else, you think, you know, if I did that, I can do this. And I think it does build that, you know, little memory bank of resilience, I think.
So when's your next open water swim?
I'm not sure. I will definitely do it again. Definitely will, yeah. I
think Mary will persuade you.
Yes, I think so. She's very persuasive.
So the last bit of my research department, they said they thought that in a sort of political way, Louise might not want to turn up on your little podcast now, because she's actually appeared recently on the British Broadcasting Corporation (brackets Somerset) in a radio interview.
That's right, yes.
And I thought,
in at the deep end again. Literally, my first interview was a live radio interview, so that was pretty scary. But using my ACT skills, I made room.
Oh, brilliant! And I listened.
Lots of feelings. Oh, yeah.
I listened and thought it was fantastic.
Oh, thank you. And again, my inner critic had lots to say about it. But yes, using my ACT skills, I could thank it for its helpful advice.
Yeah, my inner critic was going, look at you with your tin pot mic and your dodgy headphones. It's hardly like BBC Somerset, but I've got over that, I think. Now, that's what my research department have gleaned, and we'll put the link to your BBC Somerset interview as well in the show notes. So, Louise, I wonder if you'd like to just introduce yourself a bit to the Pea Supers. Tell us a bit about what you do, how you got into art, and give us a bit of a flavour of what's got you to where you are now.
Well, I've been a freelance illustrator for just over 28 years, mainly in the children's book industry. Also did comics and food packaging and toy packaging and stationery and things over the years as well. It's been a really lovely industry to work in. But I'd always had struggles with anxiety and was always looking for something to help me get rid of it. Lying the problem of trying to get rid of it. And I listened to a podcast called Not Another Anxiety Show, and they mentioned the happiness trap on there. I thought I'll just Google it, and it came up with Russ's online course. And so I did that, and I just found it life-changing. It was so helpful, and because it was so visual, I just wanted to draw everything. And so that's what started me getting into drawing with ACT and things as well. But yeah, I've always been creative. That's probably one of my favourite values. Literally don't remember not drawing. My dad was a printer, and so he used to bring home loads of paper. So I was always drawing and things. So yeah, it was kind of like always been the love of my life. So yeah.
Really? Oh, that's wonderful to hear. And you talk about Russ, like first name terms, like, hey. So that, just for our PCPers who aren't sure, that is, I can confirm it's Russ Harris.
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Your showbiz friend.
Yes. Well, yeah, I was very lucky. So basically I did the course and I found it so helpful. And that he had a Facebook support group for everyone who'd done the course. And so I think at the beginning it was just trying to remember all the skills. And now it doesn't seem like a lot, but just remembering those core processes and just like, well, what am I not using? What I've forgotten? And so I just drew a little visual map of a little character walking through the processes of like the 8 weeks. And it was for me to put on my wall, really, just to remind myself every day. And I posted it in the Facebook group to see if people might find it helpful as well. And the feedback was just so amazing. You know, people being really supportive and say they were going to print it out and things. And Russ is really generous with his time. He's always in the group anyway, you know, helping people out. And he saw them and got in contact and said, you know, he really liked it and he'd like to commission me to do maps for the 8-week course. So that was obviously a dream job to do. So each week has got a little visual walkthrough. So when people have finished each week, they've just got like something quickly look at, and just as a little refresher of all the skills that they've learned, because there's a lot of information there.
Wow, I love hearing this story of how you came upon the course through the podcast.
Yes. Yeah.
See, it's such a great medium.
Yes. Oh my gosh. No, absolutely. It's so connecting. And I listen to a lot of podcasts. I love a podcast.
and enormous respect to Russ Harris, who was one of the primary leaders in getting ACT out there to people. It's phenomenal, the work he does. The first book I read on ACT was The Happiness Trap.
Yeah. Like you said, I think for so many people, that is how they discover ACT through Russ's work. And then I just was so enthusiastic about it. I just thought, how does more people not know about this? Because whenever I told people about it, no one had heard about it. And I just thought, God, this is so important. This is so helpful. I could just see how it could help so many people. And then, because I was boring friends talking about it so much, someone said, well, you know, could you teach it? And I thought, could I teach it? I don't know. And it was just like, as soon as that had kind of got in my mind, and then I saw that Russ was coming to, so that was September 2017, I did the course. And then he was coming to London in July 2018 to do ACT Made Simple and ACT for Trauma workshops. So I did those. And then since then, I've done some more training in Birmingham and Bristol with Louise Hayes and Joe Oliver. And I just kind of can't get enough of it. And I'm hopefully going to be doing life coaching next year in using ACT. So yeah.
Oh, wonderful. You mean you as the coach?
Yes. So I've been working with a friend who's a coach, and we've got another little project as well that we're hoping to roll out maybe in 2020 with group coaching and that as well. So
blimey, that's phenomenal. I'm so delighted to hear that. I think coaching is an area where ACT just fits so well.
Well, I just feel so passionate about it, and just whenever, you know, there's, I don't know, just being able to pass on the information and help other people that might be feeling stuck. Because I think for me, that's the whole thing. I think a lot of people, when you struggle with anxiety, you take it so personally and think you're broken or weak, and it's so not that. You are just stuck, and most of us just haven't been given the skills. And I think once you've got the skills, I mean, that can just be transformative.
Thank you so much for your openness. I think I certainly resonate with that. Sometimes I still feel like that very anxious child.
Yes, me too. And I think giving yourself a hard time for that. And I think, you know, the compassion element of ACT, you know, and you know, CFT has been so helpful as well, because I was super hard on myself and just learning those self-compassion skills, you know, and that common humanity. And I think that's one of the things I love about ACT as well, that people share their experiences, and you see all these amazing inspirational people who've had their own, stories, with anxiety, and you're thinking, wow, if these people are doing that, you can do all these amazing things and still have anxious feelings. That's part of being human, and that is just liberating.
I love the way you describe this, because it's about, we're doing this now. You put your work out there. Yeah. In a way, this is us putting a collaborative piece of work out there.
Yeah.
And it's not without anxiety doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, my mind was telling me all the things this morning, all the stupid things I was going to say, and like you said, but it's making room for those. And like you said, diffusion skills, and, noticing those stories and naming them and naming the body sensations. But like you said, in the following our values, and that's what gets you moving, is actually something bigger than those feelings, something more important than those feelings.
Yeah, I think what we've both got is this desire to share this further, to help more people discover this behavioural science.
Yes, absolutely. Because I think, it really is self-help, as in once you've got the skills, it's like having a little toolkit. They're never going to go away. It's just practicing and using them. And, it's just so valuable. I really do think if you're taught it at school, it would be life-changing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is getting into schools now in a quite exciting ways. Yeah. So, crikey.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And like you said, I think there is so much more of that, people talking about emotions and, people being a lot more open. And like you said, I think if you were maybe brought up to see, like to suppress emotions, that certain emotions were bad, and that, then you obviously are going to, associate them with, feelings of guilt or shame and stuff and things. And like just having that healthier, open conversation about, all feelings welcome.
Yeah, love that. And can I take you back just a little bit to when you were a child? You said your dad was a printer and used to bring loads of paper home. So what were you drawing in those first days?
Probably not very different to the things that I've probably carried on drawing. Lots of little people characters, lots of cute animals, I think, like just making up my own little stories. Because my dad used to print books. He actually used to print Guinness Book of Records.
Oh, wow.
And they used to print like children's books sometimes as well. So I had quite a lot of children's books. And to me, that was just kind of escape. And I think I just love those kind of other little worlds, that you can just make up anything and you just can create that any world that you want. So I think just being able to draw that as well. I think, lucky enough to know lots of other illustrators and children's book writers. And I think we all have that common thing of, as children, we all had that kind of fantasy world where you'd escape and make up stories, either writing them or drawing them. Yeah.
Oh, isn't that wonderful that you could pursue that?
Yes. Yeah. So lucky. Yeah. I think when I was younger, I kind of didn't even think about it as being an option. I did a sort of general art and design course, but I don't think even then, it was just my kind of what I loved most, but not with a kind of end goal in mind. And then I had a fantastic tutor there who said, you do know you could go on and do a degree. And I was like, really? I hadn't thought about doing that. And then I did a course in Wolverhampton, which is actually, the title of it is actually very fits with what I'm doing now, which was visual communication.
Wonderful.
So it was graphic design, photography and illustration, and I specialised in illustration. And then when I left, I went off to London to seek fame and fortune, but, to look for work, because all publishers were pretty much based in London then, and it was pre-internet, because I'm that old. And so you literally physically, seeing publishers with your portfolio, which was brilliant. Great to meet so many amazing people. Yeah, and hoping that somebody would pick out your work and give you a job. And I was lucky enough to, get, I think one of my first jobs was with the BBC Playdays magazine, drawing Dilly the dinosaur.
Dilly the dinosaur. Oh, have you got any archival clips we could put on our...
I might have somewhere. It's going back a bit, but yeah, maybe. So then it was just, so I do feel very blessed to have been, working in this industry for so long. So.
And when I listened to your appearance on BBC Somerset, I heard mention of Pingu.
Yes, I used to, yes. I was going to say all the children's magazines then, they used to, do Tweenies and Pingu and Noddy and things. So, I used to do little stories for them and things and that as well. So, it was fun times.
And when you were a kid, did you enter like art competitions and stuff?
Not really. I was quite shy, I think. So, No, not that I kind of, I school and things and that, we'd kind of do things, they'd have a thing where you design the school Christmas card or that kind of thing maybe, but not really.
Louise, it's so exciting to hear how your career developed, because I often talk to people in coaching or in team settings and talk about creativity, and adults are so quick to go, oh, well, I'm not creative.
Yes, I think everybody is creative. And like you said, when people always say, oh, I couldn't do what you're doing, but I always say it is just practice, and people absolutely can do it, and it doesn't have to be in that medium, and it's just that expression. I think all arts, dancing, singing, painting, drawing, photography, everybody's got a creative outlet, and I think that's so important.
And I think what we often fail to recognize or omit from our consideration of being creative is that practice.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's not like you woke up one day with a pencil and thought, hey, I'm going to be an illustrator. Yeah. This is hours and days and months and years of practice.
Yes. Yeah. And same as, like you said, if you're going to play a piano or something, none of us are going to be good. Well, I don't think I'd ever be good at that. But like you said, it is just putting in, but so it's having the enjoyment, like wanting that end thing. But I think, like you said, as well, lots of people do, like the colouring in books and stuff and things. It doesn't have to be, I think there's still so much pleasure to be just in that moment, choosing colours or, whatever it is, or, there's so many creative outlets, baking and cooking and, they're all creative, just creating something from nothing almost, that is.
I think it's quite a profound human thing to do this.
Yeah, and I think it's it's such a unique human thing, isn't it? I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and the best of, society, when you look at like the times where human beings have actually managed to not fuck everything up. Do you know what I mean? But like societies, they were about, theatre and sport and painting and singing and dancing. It is those creative arts, I think, that are so important, and very sad, I think, that we're kind of losing those in schools.
Yeah.
Because I think, I think for mental health and that, they are really good. I mean, we need those, they are about pleasure, really. I mean, there are how many things in life that just are about joy, expression of pleasure and joy. I mean, like, that is what they're about, really, aren't they? And sharing love, I guess, like baking and things. People put love into those things, or singing a song or writing a poem. I mean, it is an expression of, that sounds a bit strange, I guess, but, I think that is what creativity is, really.
Yeah, let's get that out there. Yeah. What could you do that's creative today, Pea Supers? Yeah. If it's writing a limerick or making a cake or making cheese on toast, that could be an act of love.
Yes. And well, our lovely friend Rose, I mean, she made me the most amazing embroidery quilt. And that was just, I was so touched. There's so, to me, that's love, and it's just like, so all the values of kindness and generosity and love and creativity in that. Yeah.
Now, Lou, being a Pea Super, you'll know that I ask my guests for a song. And this is a song that you'd be happy to use to announce your arrival in all life scenarios for the next few weeks, whether it's you arriving to meet Mary, whether it's you entering a room to meet friends or whatever. Now, I did tell you this in advance, so I don't know if you had a chance to think about a song.
I did, and I am hoping you will sing it. That's
crikey.
My favourite bit of your show.
No. No pressure then, though.
My song is Katy Perry Raw.
Oh, you devil. Right. And can I ask, before I try and drag through my memory network.
You might have to drop that back in with you singing along.
No, I'm going to give it a go right now. Yeah. But why this one?
For me, it kind of, I guess, sums up two things. I think how ACT has impacted my life, because for me it is being really empowering. That's the word I use a lot, that I think with my work, I want it to help empower other people, because it does feel like it's given my life back on lots of levels, I think. So it feels almost like a new, improved me. So it is that kind of thing of like wanting to live life to the full and like saying, here I am and being brave. I think that kind of tiger is courageous. I think, for a lot of time I was more like a little mouse, and I still love that little mouse bit. It's in my top pocket. But I think, that kind of tiger, but I think with some of the stuff that I've learned about with CFT, we have those compassionate kind of companions, and there's like a fierce protector. And for me, this kind of like sums up that as well, that kind of first reflective side.
So are you going to join me in having a go here?
Not sure.
Okay, let me think. I want to check I've got the right one first. Is that, does it go something, has it got that in it?
We're probably not allowed to play any of it, are we? Because
well, I'm never really sure. I think no one's going to sue me for thinking I'm going to.
I would offer to sing it, but my singing voice is probably not anything anyone wants to hear.
Well, yeah, you and me both.
That'll be my next committed action. Yeah, I do go to singing. I do go to a singing group, so that is committed action.
Well,
for
secret's
enjoyment.
I could feel a Christmas album coming on.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I think that sounds good.
What do you think?
The reason for Christmas.
The reason act for Christmas, right? When are we? When are we?
It'd be like Live Aid. Yeah, like the sound of this.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, with guests.
We've got plenty. Oh yeah, we've got a lot of guests. I think you should do that. Or can you imagine that? We could get them all together, like on a massive group Zoom. We could all do a.
Oh my
like
goodness!
A Live Aid style. You've got to do that. No, you've said it.
Right, that'll have to be for next Christmas, I think.
Yes.
Just reining in our ambition slightly. But I'm thinking, we are the world.
Yes.
We are the children. Because I always want to put my hand on my ear like that.
Now, P Supers, it may have come as a surprise that I couldn't quite nail the song and the recording session for this podcast. Katy Perry's not high on my playlist for this year. So, I'm now going to present a little part of it to you, and I think there's a message for us all here. And I'd like to dedicate this to my friend Lou. Right, P Supers, I am ready as I'll ever be. So let me just have a sip of tea. And let's crack on. I used to bite my tongue and hold my breath, scared to rock the boat and make a mess, so I said quietly, agree politely. I guess that I forgot I had a choice. I let you push me past the breaking point. I stood for nothing, so I fell for everything. You held me down, but I got up, already brushing off the dust. You hear my voice, you hear that sound? Like thunder gonna shake the ground. You held me down, but I got up. Get ready, 'cause I've had enough. I see it all, I see it now. I got the eye of the tiger, a fighter, dancing through the fire, 'cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar louder. Louder than a lion, 'cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar. You're gonna hear me roar. Now I'm floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee. I earned my stripes. I went from zero to my own hero. So P Supers, you hear my voice? You hear that sound? It's like thunder, it's going to shake the ground. Enough of this. Let's go back to my conversation with Louise.
Thank you for that. And I now always imagine that song with you.
Yes,
when
I think
you.
when I'm doing something, that is my kind of like, I put it on when I'm doing something that, like, come on, we can do this.
Thank you. So I think, Louise, you said your first act-related illustration was the illustrating the 8-week course.
Yes, that's
and
right.
Is that the first one you put out there as well?
I think it was. Yes, that first little walkthrough one. I think that was the first one that I put out, and then I obviously started working on Russ's, but then that didn't kind of come out till later. I'm trying to think what the first one was. I think I did like a compassion one. There was a lovely quote, an Alicia Goldstein quote.
Right.
It was a bear and bunny sat on a log. We're going to get it completely wrong, but it's like if we just all put our hand on our heart for a moment, it would be a moment well spent. That's not completely right, but it was. So I did that, and I think I did the beach ball one, about how we try to suppress thoughts and feelings, and they'll just come back and smack you in the face. And then I think I started working on the animation stuff, because a friend was very kindly contacted me and said, I've seen this program. I think that would be great for your work that you're putting out. and found this program so I could start animating like some of my drawings and things. And I think maybe, I don't know, one of the first ones, I think when I discovered RFT, that just brought so much together for me. And it was just like such a huge aha moment. And I kind of had this mind map of this illustration I wanted to do. So that was a real labour of love, I think, creating that one. I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of that I've produced as ACT Auntie. And the feedback for that has just been amazing. I think it's something like 12,000 views or something crazy at the moment. So, yeah.
Crikey, so that's the RFT illustration.
Animation, yeah. So
Animation, sorry, yeah.
So I think it's about 8 minutes long, something like that, but just a very simple walkthrough of kind of what RFT is. A very simple version, I have to say. Very simple.
But look how you're making that accessible. And for those of you who aren't sure what RFT is, it's called relational frame theory, and that underpins ACT.
Yeah.
It's traditionally seen as, oh my gosh, RFT is too difficult for me.
Yes, and it was just, for me, it was just seeing how we create these thought patterns and just, you know, realizing there's no undo button, and, you know, and how we can get caught up in it. You know, it can be so sticky, but, you know, having that self as context, you know, being able to step away from it, and, you know, and that self-compassion of knowing it's not your fault, you know, all that information that we're given when we're younger that we take on board as, you know, in our thought repertoire, you know, like you said, of when we're stressed or scared, you know, we probably always go back to those automatic thoughts, you know, those inner critic thoughts and things.
And it's really that ACT Auntie approach. It's got that simplicity and warmth, but it's really informative. And I'm not surprised it's had 12,000 views. Hopefully we'll get some more, because people will want to go and look at it. Yeah. What would you describe as your personal values in your illustration work? I think you've touched on them, but I'd just like to tease them out a little bit more.
I think, like you said, love. I think there's a lot of love that goes into it, but I think, like you said, connection and community, obviously creativity. Yeah, I guess compassion. I hope that kind of comes through, you know, in what I'm communicating and things. And fun and humour, I hope, as well. Yeah.
I think that they all shine through, and I love that your first value was love.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say, big virtual hug for that. I think it's amazing what you're doing.
And I think that's the thing that everyone I meet, or the experts, as I like to call them, you know,
nice.
That is, it is that passion, but it is love. It's so much care for people, you know, and wanting to help people, you know, that it always feels, you know, it feels like such an amazing community.
And we talked about putting our stuff out there, your stuff, audio stuff, whatever, out there as a courageous act. Is there anything that gets in the way of you thinking, right, I've done this illustration, I'm going to share it?
I think there's always that kind of self-doubt, I think, when you put anything out, you know, because it is very personal, isn't it? And you're obviously thinking, what are other people going to think of this? Or, you know, they're going to be judging me, which, you know, the human mind is always going to be judging, so they will be judging. But I think, like you said, as long as you feel that you're offering something, you know, of worth, hopefully, you know, we were saying, if like, even if one person finds some value in it, you know, like you said, of just trying to communicate out there about ACT and stuff, that if just one person finds it useful and goes on, you know, to help change their life for the better by using it, then, you know, that's incredible. I think if we were just trying to spread this message and spread it out, that's the important thing, I think. But yes, definitely do have those inner critic, and I think, you know, like you said, I think that's so normal. Like I said, I'm very lucky to know lots of super talented illustrators whose work, a lot of it I would just never be able to compare to. And I know they have the same thoughts, that they look on Instagram and look at other artists and think, why do I even bother? And you're like, what? How are you thinking that? But I think we all have that, you know, thing. But maybe that's what motivates us to keep trying, to keep improving as well. So maybe it's not a bad thing. You know, if we thought we were super great, we'd never challenge ourselves to improve.
I'm really excited to hear about all the learning you've done since coming across ACT as well. And also for me, that the simplicity of an illustration can convey really complex messages in a way that 10 pages of text can't.
And and I think that's what I hoped as well. Like, you know, I think sometimes when people are feeling very anxious or depressed, it can feel overwhelming to read a book, you know, and I think sometimes maybe just that a little picture or something might just make that little connection to maybe want them to read a bit more, or just to have that, you know, make it a little bit more lighthearted and things as well. But yeah, I'm an avid reader that's one of my passions. I've got a ridiculous amount of books. Like you said, when I discovered ACT, it was just, my ACT library is quite big. But yeah, it's so fascinating. I just love reading all the new research and, people's takes on it. There's always something new that you think, wow, I hadn't thought about that, or just a fun way that someone's, communicated something.
Yeah, sometimes it's just what I love about your work is sometimes it's just the perspective.
Right.
For me, it's the perspective and the distilling down in a really accessible and simple way that is like, blimey.
Thank you.
Because I think we can hide behind words sometimes.
Yes, and I think with like academia as well, there's that kind of thing with papers to make them almost as wordy as possible.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it loses that essence and loses a lot of audience who probably think that isn't for me. And there's so much helpful information in there. So like you said, it's just trying to get out to as a wide as audience as possible, isn't it? And I think and to make it an enjoyable experience to learn.
P-Supers, don't be alarmed, because we'll put links to Louise's presence on various different websites and social media channels and shops in the show notes for this. So you can go and admire, appreciate, learn from Louise's generosity in her work, and also buy some stuff. I saw a tweet recently where you can have a hand-drawn personalized print.
Yes, I was doing some like Christmas prints and that, and I've got a little Redbubble shop now because people were asking whether they could buy it on things. So I have done some things that you can buy on t-shirts and mugs and things if you so wished.
Wow.
But yeah, and I've been lucky enough as well to be working with some experts on their books as well. So I've got 5 books that are coming out, well, not my books, but books that I've been lucky enough to collaborate with authors on that are all coming out in 2020 as well. So,
blimey, 5 books, get you. This is phenomenal.
Could I mention some more?
Yes, please do.
I was going to say, well, one of them has just come out actually, which is this one, which is the ACT workbook for teens with OCD, which is Patricia's owner. I hope I've pronounced Patricia's name right, Dr. Z.
Dr. Z.
Yes.
Oh, crikey. I didn't realise you'd done the illustrations.
Yeah, and then I'm working on Your Anxiety Beast and You with Dr. Eric Goodman, which has been super, super fun to work on. And Mindfulness and Acceptance Workbook for Self-Esteem, a practical guide to build self-compassion and self-acceptance with Dr. Joe Oliver and Dr. Richard Bennett.
Blimey.
And the Little Depression Workbook and the Little Anxiety Workbook with Dr. Michael Sinclair.
Wow.
For all our super lovely friends. So that has been a joy to work with everybody.
Goodness.
I'm super excited for them to come out for the general public because they're all going to be amazing books. I think all going to be so helpful. So I've been lucky enough to see some of the content, and yeah, I'm just thinking, wow, I would have loved to have read these books. I will be reading them, but it's like when I was struggling and looking for something,
absolutely,
they would have been so perfect. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realise there was this depth of engagement with the experts and. Crikey.
I think I've just been really lucky because, like you said, I think we just, like you said, that lovely kind of Twitter, kind of community going on. And I think having, like you said, meeting people at Dublin and, in Birmingham and Bristol and that as well has been.
Yeah. Now, I've got a question. Do you have any idea what your most popular work has been? Because I think we've had the animation, the RFT animation. Is there a static image that you think, oh, that's been mega popular, that's really resonated?
I think the little ACT map, the walkthrough, I think people have found that really helpful. And I had someone saying that they've used it in their workshops and used it as a mindfulness colouring in at the same time so people could take it away. But yeah, I've had such lovely feedback because I've got an art group for like people who are using the artwork, and I've had so many therapists saying they're using it in session or giving it to their clients to take away at the end and things. And I've had some people from the NHS saying they've framed them up and things like that. And I've had amazing people translate them. So there's been loads of different translations now and stuff.
Wow, look at the impact you've made.
Yeah, I do feel super lucky. It just feels so rewarding because I think, like you said, it is that. When I know Steve Hayes said that, turning pain into purpose, it's this the anxiety which for so many years I saw as a kind of burden, has actually been a kind of turning point to discover this amazing thing and to be able to combine the art and ACT. It's like 2 things I feel so passionate about. So it feels a joy to be able to do it and then to be part of this amazing community, that have been so welcoming and kind to me. And, and then to hear that that's actually helping people. Yeah, it's pretty dreamy.
And I'd just like to say, it ain't just luck.
Oh. Thank you.
So, Louise, I like to ask my guests for a takeaway. Is there anything you would like to put out there for our peace supers who are listening that maybe they could try or just reflect on?
I think for me, it's just learning through ACT that you're not broken, you're just stuck, and that ACT can help you get unstuck. And it's never too late. You can always learn new skills, and you can change and grow and evolve, and you don't have to just survive, you can thrive. And I think that's what ACT skills helps you do.
Wow, you're giving me goosebumps there. It's great to hear you say that. And it's also great to hear you say it's never too late.
Yeah.
I resonate with that so much because that's one of my unhelpful thoughts, that I've left it all too late.
Me too. And it's still, like you said, I've left it too late story is a loud one.
Hell yeah.
Who knows, the best might be yet to come. Who knows?
Wow. Louise, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so grateful for your generosity, what you share, your openness, and you're just a beautiful human being. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you for the Raw song as well, which kind of threw me slightly. And any final thoughts from you?
Well, yesterday I saw a quote by Dennis Turch, which I think kind of really ties in really well with that song that I'd chosen. And his quote was, "When you take your life back from anxiety, in a sense, you take back your whole world. This life is yours if you want it, and the cost is feeling your fear and taking action no matter what. Take back your world and live deeply." And for me, ACT skills shows you how to feel your fear. You're not tolerating it. It's not just tolerating it. ACT skills will show you how to take that fear with you and to, learn about values, to know how to go out into the world and create a life that you love.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much again, Louise. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. It's been a pleasure.
Peace Supers, that's it in the bag. I'd like to thank Louise so much for her creativity, love, generosity, and collaboration. I so admire the work she is sharing, and I look forward to hearing her roar more in 2020. You can connect with Louise on social media and look at her work. I'll put all the links on the show notes. If you like this episode of the podcast, could I invite you to share it with one other person? I'm really keen to spread the behavioural science and skills with more people. Of course, a subscription, rating or review are also very much appreciated. The show notes are at rossmcintosh.co.uk, and this includes a link to a few different platforms. You can find even more links if you search for People Soup on Linktree. Now, we love to hear from you, and you can get in touch at peoplesoup.pod@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are at peoplesouppod. On Instagram, at people.soup. And on Facebook, we are at peoplesouppod. Thanks to Andy Glenn for his spoon magic, and to you for listening. Have a great week, Peace Supers, and bye for now.
Because I could quickly find it for you if you like. But
Yeah, go on.
hold on a second. So you can do your warming up.
Oh, me.
You're tapping away now.
I can't just get a handle on how it starts.
Okay.
You're going to hear...
Oh, is that going to be too loud?
Oh, I'm hearing jungle noise.
Yes.